How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I mean, have you talked to Mike? We haven't really solidified anything yet. We both got caught up in life.
Okay, we can just say that.
We can say that we have ideas. We're just not ready. Like,
Okay.
we can like say what we're talking about. Like, is he coming?
I asked him to come. So yeah, Matt, if you can just give a report on status, that's just great.
Yeah. This one snuck up on me. I thought it was next week.
I know, I did too, because it just seems like we just had a meeting, but that's just the way the calendar worked.
We just ate dinner. Sent the kids upstairs so I can finally have my cookies. Mm.
Your son?
Hey, Don.
Hello, all.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Where are you? There you are.
I'm eating some cookies before we start.
He's sneaking cookies away from children.
I finally sent the kids upstairs so I can eat my cookies after dinner.
Hi, Rory.
Rory's muted.
Oop.
We got two Rorys.
I'll unmute.
Unmute.
There he goes. Oops.
Whoa. Okay.
That's annoying.
Got the reverb.
Come on, why reverb?
It should be because
Rory, you're on twice. That's why.
Well, I've got no microphone or video for my office computer, but it has a nice big screen, so I'm trying to dial in.
Are you sure it doesn't have a video?
Yeah.
yeah, ours doesn't at town hall either. I have to use my personal one.
Well, even with virtual pre-K, I'm done staring at screens.
I know. Oh.
Poor kids. I feel so. My daughter's looking at me like 20 minutes in, going, "Daddy, I'm done with school today. We done."
Aw, I feel bad for them.
I'm done. Let's go eat a snack.
Okay, let's see. How do I forget how I? Oh, all right.
Oh my gosh. My phone thinks I'm driving, so it's not giving me any video.
Oh no. But you're not echoing anymore.
Well, yeah, I figured that part out. Thank you.
Hi, Alice.
Back. Is that?
Okay, usually we have, oh, there she is. Okay. I was worried about her.
What do you think of the flag, Rory? You see it?
Amazing. Good work, guys. Yeah, that was epic. Seriously. Amazing.
So many good pictures were taken of it too. It's just really neat.
Pictures that the Broenhoffs did are awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen those. I've seen whatever you posted on Facebook.
Drone pictures, like the one where it's like going really back, like far away.
Yeah.
That's a drone. The drone was like over Thompson Pond. Sorry, I'm just plugging in my computer. He was far, and he was standing at the parking lot.
Uh-oh. We just lost Matt.
I see the top of Judy's head in there somewhere.
Yep.
Judy.
You're correct. That was the top of my head.
Sarah Jones is here. Sarah, you're on mute there, just so you know.
There she goes. You're good now. Yep. So we have to get Matt back here. Oh, there he is. Okay, good. All right. Is everybody ready?
Is Sarah here?
Yep. Sarah's here. Judy's
Oh,
here.
there you are.
Laura's here. Okay, Alice, could you start recording? There we go. All right. Then I will call this meeting to order. This is a monthly workshop meeting. And the first thing I have on our list is the asbestos survey bids, but Ray was not able to review all of them by tonight. So that will be coming hopefully Thursday. We'll have his recommendation on that. And the next thing up, any
Excuse me,
questions on that?
This is for the survey bids. How many did we send out? Did we end up sending out how many?
We got 4.
Had 4? Okay.
Yep. Everyone was, I went and met everybody as they were working, and they all had very different takes on it. Interesting to see what Ray says.
A different take in which way?
They just had a different way of working and a different way of looking. They would come out and say something different each time.
Okay.
Yeah, just it was kind of interesting. There wasn't any uniformity of
One way of doing it.
opinion. Yeah, right. Yeah, it was very interesting.
I think I've only seen 2 of those bids maybe come through. Have all 4 been?
Yes, I
Sent out.
turned them all over to Ray
Okay.
because we had decided to let him kind of pick the bid
Okay.
that he's the best.
Or at least advise us
Yeah.
Yeah.
on his thinking.
I can certainly send them to you if there are two that you don't have.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing on the list is just a report on the preliminary budget. I'm all done. Everybody got their budgets in early, which is just wonderful. And I'm gonna do some more tweaking on it, but I thought what I would do for tonight is read to everyone what the kind of order of what's expected and what we have to do in the next month for the budget. So all of the department budgets are due on or before September 20th. And the budget officer then files the tentative budget with the town clerk no later than September 30th. The town clerk presents the tentative budget to the town board on or before October 5th. The town board makes revisions and prepares the preliminary budget. That's the official preliminary budget. Preliminary budget is filed with the town clerk prior to a public hearing. Then there's a notice of a public hearing. And at least 5 days shall elapse between the date of the first publication and the date specified for the public hearing. Then the public hearing is held on or before Thursday, immediately following the general election. So I believe that we have always had it in before the general election, which is obviously November 3rd, but we can have it in on the, what is that, the 5th. Final revisions to the preliminary budget are then made after the public hearing, but prior to adoption. And the budget is adopted by the town board no later than November 20th. So that'll be our November meeting. So the big work really is done between now and the October meeting on the preliminary, with the hope that not much changes between the preliminary and the final, but sometimes it does. Certainly last year it did.
I would just like to make the point that I think if we possibly can, we should have the budget for the public to see. And we should, if we can, have it online so that the public can be informed, because they had some problems last year where they didn't have access to what we were actually talking about for the public hearing, I think.
They had the preliminary budget on time last year, but nobody came in to see it, is what the problem was.
No, but there were changes then made before the actual public hearing, and that's really not a good idea. I mean, we need the public to have access to the budget that we're proposing for the public hearing.
Well, it's always with Judy.
I understand that, but it would be nice to have it online so that people could get it and see it online if they would like to.
All right.
You know, we have technology now. It would be good to use it for the public.
Does somebody
Judy,
put something,
Yeah, it might be Judy there, I think.
Yeah,
Judy's there.
She might have a radio on in the background. She might want to mute her.
I don't
Might
have.
be mine. Is it mine?
Oh, maybe Sarah.
Okay.
Stan, could you turn the TV down? He's in the other room. It's quite loud.
all right. Any other questions on that?
No, but if
Okay.
we can put it on the website, I agree with Sarah. It just makes it easier for people to see and it's out there rather than
Yeah,
have
that's
to
fine.
go to the town hall.
Yeah, I just want you to know that it was where it should be last year. We just did not put it on the website, and I can't remember why we didn't do that. Okay, so there's that.
This year we have COVID, so there's even more reason to
no.
put it on online.
This year it makes a lot of sense. We have some impending road repairs that we're going to have to discuss on Thursday that I thought I would just alert you guys to. Heather's not here tonight, but she will be obviously Thursday, and we will discuss this more. I will send these things to you tomorrow, but there are two problematic areas in town that need pretty much immediate attention. The most immediate one is a section of Hicks Hill where Don, you'll know more about this than I did, but previously, like about 10 or 12 years ago, a slope gave way and half the road washed away in a storm. That area was fixed, but not permanently fixed. And in the last storm, part of the fix of it fell apart. So we're going to have to pay attention to this, and it's going to be expensive. Heather's looking into funding, but it's the same section of road that gave way 10 or 12 years ago. So we have from Ray a discussion of where this is, why this is, and what happened. And I'll send that to you tomorrow. The other section is on Woodward Hill, and it's a culvert that is kind of sinking. And you can actually, when you stand there, you see the dip in the road. And the feeling is that based on the current condition of the culvert will continue to worsen. The amount of roadway settlement and side slope erosion will continue, and they're recommending we replace it. So we'll talk about those two things on Thursday in much more detail. But look for that in your email, okay?
The question I have is whether the Woodward Hill can wait a year or not, or it has to be done this year.
That was the less of an emergency. So the question will be like, how long can we wait?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You want to wait through winter though? Like,
Definitely. It's not an imminent danger of failing, in my opinion. It's going to be a slow progressive thing, but we have to put it on, consider it fairly quickly. I wanted to talk to Ray a little bit more, about his thoughts on it. But basically it's a corrugated metal pipe that is put together in sections. And some of the pipe is actually crushing, but not significantly. It's oval now rather than round. The bottom is rotting out of it, which is, pretty expected over a period of time. But the big thing is that the sections of the pipe have displaced. So you're starting to lose soil from around the pipe that's causing the road itself to settle. So there's soil going into, washing from around the outside of the pipe into the pipe and then being flushed out by the stream. So you're losing soil above the pipe, and so you're getting a dip. Some thoughts about this is that how it all ties in with Durst, because it's an important piece of the roadway there. Heavy construction going over it would really cause it to fail quickly. So there's several things that have to be thought of or considered when we're doing this. They want to replace the pipe with a three-sided box culvert, which means the floor of it's concrete box culvert. The floor of it's open. It's natural soil, so the fish can swim over it without being concerned. So anyhow, there's I think Ray really needs to discuss this with everybody with some ideas and how long he feels we can do it. But I believe in our discussion, the slope stabilization on Hicks Hill is our first priority.
That may be a kind of,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. But there might also be funding available from that.
Yeah.
So there are some things that we have to look before we really make some decisions.
And the Woodward Hill culvert, the fish that Don talked about are trout. It's a trout stream.
Is it
So-
the Hambrook?
The Hambrook, yes.
Okay.
So
Is the lifespan of one of those three-sided culverts, Don, 2-3 times the lifespan of a metal sectioned culvert?
Yes. I would say at least 2. I think you're, it's like 15 years versus 30 years. It's a very, very deep culvert, so there's a lot of material over the top of it.
Okay.
It washed out during a bad storm, I would say, probably around 20 years ago. At
Oh,
least
it's 20?
years ago, or at
Oh,
least 20 years ago.
was that Irene? Were we talking about Hurricane Irene?
I
That
don't,
wasn't 20 years ago.
Well, it's 9 years ago. Maybe.
it was, a long time ago.
Okay.
I don't have a good landmark, but I do remember when it happened. And I've been traveling that section of road since 1969 or so regularly. So it happened somewhere between 1969 and now. Right.
I believe I remember when it washed out. So.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So that's coming.
Office Road. I know we don't technically own it, but people complain about that road all the time. And since we're on talking about roads, I know we don't own it, but
Which one? Which one, Matt?
the Post Office Road.
Oh, yeah. Lots of complaints.
So I don't what do we do about that? It's been around complaining for years. If they're failing to maintain it, what do we do? Do we
Well-
get control of the road and do it right? Or because it's a used road, it gets to our post office.
Well, we have a maintenance agreement on that.
Yeah.
That we talked, and I'd have to reread it again on what our responsibility is. And it may be our responsibility to maintain it. I have to look at that agreement again.
I don't believe it is. I believe it's the owner.
I
And-
believe either way, this after this winter, if we have a winter, that thing it's going to be horrible
Yeah.
going in.
Yep. They've been told.
So,
Well, it's now under new ownership, right? But doesn't Dale own it now?
Yeah.
Versus the other.
I think Dale owns it, and I think he signed this agreement, the maintenance agreement. I think
Yeah.
was part of he was in front of the planning board. I think there's a clear maintenance agreement, and I think he is required to do it, but I have to look at it.
Yeah, well, we went in and fixed the hole at the beginning of it. Where it had washed out at least twice. And, we felt that at that time, the maintenance agreement allowed us at least to go in and do it without having to go through, the charge.
I think that Tom Lou owned it then,
Mhm.
and then it went back to Dale.
But I mean, we have a maintenance agreement on it and an agreement on it so that we can access the water tower. And that's the one I'm thinking of, the original agreement. It's a filed agreement in the clerk's office. So Warren should be able to advise us a little bit more on that.
I can put it down. We could talk about it on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Matt, do you want to just give us a little update on where you are with the recreation redo?
So when me and Mike heard like the ethics committee doing the staggered terms and, you know, like reappointing people, we both like the rec committee is a turnover type committee anyway. So we're going to try to do it with 7-year terms staggered the same way and have people write in letters of intent he wants to make head of programs. So those are just some things that we were talking about. Trying to take, you know, like not micromanage as much, like, but like have other people a little bit accountable here and there and have things run a bit smoother.
How'd you end on the 7-year term?
Well, just a 7-person committee, and then, you know, for the first year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, you know, like every year we'll be adding somebody new or renewing some, you know, like, so it doesn't get stale.
Right.
So,
It sounds like a long-term commitment, a 7-year commitment is all I mentioned.
well, but I mean, think about it. More of the people who get into it are the people with like, you know, kids.
Oh,
So
good point.
you're getting in like when your kid is 5, you know, like you're seeing them out like until, you know, like 12, you'll be involved, you know, like anyway, because you're going to be there doing all these sports and these things and stuff, you know? And it takes a little while to pick up on things like that. You know, like you're not going to jump into a commitment and all of a sudden you got to, you know, learn how to deal with it, make things happen. So it doesn't happen right away.
Great. Anything else? Okay, great, thank you. Police reform. So I don't know how many people got on the phone call on Saturday, but the very first community forum was last Saturday from 3 to 5. It actually ended quite early. I think they had 13 people signed up to speak, but only maybe 6 spoke. There will be more of these. And the list is on duchessny.gov/police reform. So if anybody has ideas for ways to reform things or how things are going, they can sign up for one of these forums and speak for 3 minutes. So last Saturday was the town of Washington, Stanford, Pine Plains, Amenia, and Northeast. And this Thursday is Pauling, Unionvale, Beekman, Dover, LaGrange, Pleasant Valley. There's another one a week from tomorrow, the 22nd. There's one the 23rd, the 26th, and the 29th. And even though they are designated as being hosted by 3 or 4 towns each, you're welcome to get on there and speak.
Would you give that URL again, please?
Pardon?
The website, would you give that again, Duchess?
duchessny.gov/police reform.
Thank you.
You bet. The task at hand is actually enormous. And let me just read to you, well, what we're doing is, this is a state mandated thing that the county is helping all of us with in terms of creating kind of a standing committee to review what is needed, what the state requires, what's needed from us, and what we could work on kind of as a county. which I actually think is a fabulous idea because Pine Plains has 3 different agencies coming here to police. We have our own, for which we have written a lot of policies. We have the sheriff's department and the state troopers. So this is called the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. And our overview for this is that the process should review the needs of the community served by its police agency and evaluate the department's current policies and practices, establish policies that allow police to effectively and safely perform their duties, involve the entire community in the discussion, develop policy recommendations resulting from this review, offer a plan for public comment, present the plan to the local legislative body to ratify or adopt it, that's us, and certify adoption of the plan to the state budget director on or before April 1, 2021. So the first part of this, it has begun. These community forums that people can get on are the community discussion. And when you get on there, you're asked for your ideas, not your complaints, but your ideas for making things better or different. And you're restricted to 3 minutes. Sarah, what did you think of some of the comments that were on Saturday?
Well, I was late because I was still down at our cleanup day. So
Yes.
I only heard a couple of them. I really don't have an opinion. I
Okay,
mean,
well,
it's the process that they're putting everyone through,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel that we sit in sort of an enviable position because we have our own police department, and I think we work well with them. So I don't know how relevant that piece is to us. I don't have enough information to have a real opinion.
yeah, I didn't hear a lot that was relevant to us.
What I thought was interesting was what you had told me, that we are being required to go back through all of our arrests, and our police department has to identify
Yeah,
the racial makeup of our arrests and all earlier complaints. I don't know how far back, but it's a huge undertaking, and I think it could be useful. But again, I just don't think that we have really had that many problems or at the center of what's driving this review. I'm totally fine with the idea of the review, but in terms of our town,
well,
I don't think-
that's where I was going next with it, which is what's required of us.
yeah.
So here's the list. 911 and other call data, which we have to provide for the history of our department. We're hoping that the Department of Emergency Response has this data and they can pull it for us. Any shootings by officers, any firearm discharges, civilian injuries, use of force incidents, officer stops, searches, and/or arrests, demographics of the agency workforce, demographics of the community population, community complaint information, nature of complaints, aggregate numbers, and dispositions. Then in terms of policies and procedures, they want to know if we have body cameras, what our identification procedures are, investigation of hate crimes policy, recording of custodial interrogations policy, use of force policy, officer training programs or policies, leadership training programs or policies, sensitive data privacy policy, hiring and promotion standards, officer misconduct procedures, and complaint procedures and policies. So this is going to take a lot of work. All of our officers are part-time. So it's, John and I are trying to figure out sort of how to accomplish all the work, given the fact that we have our officers are all out on duty most of the time when they're working. So pulling them off that to do research into this is going to be tricky. But he and I are starting work on it. And we don't have a choice, so that's what we're doing. I think it will be very interesting work to do, honestly. And
Y'all don't have most of these policies in place or no?
we have a lot of them in place, but not some of the more modern ones. Like we don't have body cameras, and we don't. We do have a use of force policy. The custodial interrogations policy. Most of these other policies were gleaned from the policies of other departments. So the question is sort of like, what pertains to us and what's unique to us? And do we need to rewrite some of these, to fit Pine Plains? So we'll be reviewing all those.
We're talking about making a committee, or you don't want to do that at all?
Yes, there is actually a requirement that we create a police stakeholders committee. Which I've begun putting out the word and asking people. And I'll have more on that as soon as I get more answers. But we have to have a stakeholders committee to help review this.
I have a few names that I'll give you.
Great, excellent. Okay, I would appreciate any names you have.
I agreed to serve on the committee today.
Yep. And Brenda Jackson has agreed. So I have two.
Is environmental conservation included in this, and police?
Nope,
I would think they would be.
they are not. If this is,
Wait,
to my knowledge, it doesn't say anything about them.
That's an interesting thought, omission. Are any of these, this last workshop that was held, this forum, is there a summary being prepared of what was said, or?
I have not received anything. I assume there will be a summary at the end of all of the forums with the,
Okay.
yeah. I haven't received anything from Saturday, so I'm assuming they're just going to compile.
Okay.
It's run by Jody Miller, who's on the Human Rights Committee. She's been to town a few times. She's good at handling the group. So that's a big project going on. The next thing I have on our agenda is the Graham Brush House fencing. Did you guys get down there to look at it?
I did.
So there's the question on the table is, the stuff is rotting on the, well, when you look at the municipal parking lot, fencing that's along Ruth Ann's house is beginning to fall apart, and it's the fence posts are all deteriorating quite a bit. The slats are often broken. And then there's a little short piece of fencing on the west side that's really a wreck, that's held together with wire, and that's because Bob Kaus told me that he didn't want to keep fixing something that was rotten. He wants to replace it. The front part of the fencing in front of the house is beautiful and fairly new, and that looks good. So the question is, do we need this fencing?
Is it
Really?
our, did Diane get back to you, Dara?
Well, the Historical Society owns the Graham Brush House. So, but historically speaking, the town has always fixed the fence. But now it's so rotten that it's not really worth, he's right, it's not worth fixing. It's, you can touch it and it's wiggling and.
Fence. Like,
Pardon?
I think I know, but it's only, what, 20 feet?
Yeah, it's not very big.
I'm okay with fixing it then. If Bobby Lee's gonna do it,
I think he could probably pull it out with his hands. Yeah.
no.
Well, the problem is probably needs new posts put in, which is a little more than just putting new slats in.
And
You
if-
know, post and rail fences always fall down and rot out.
right.
It just
And the
do.
plow-
It's in
plow-
their nature.
Yeah, the plows hit it kind of consistently.
We're going to be tearing the building down shortly. And I think putting a new fence up may just be in the way of facilitating that.
I agree.
I agree with that, Don. I was not even thinking about that, but I agree with you.
If Heather has something to keep people from driving forward onto the lawn, I would say just take it out of there.
Okay. Great.
Shouldn't we let the Historical Society know and make sure they're okay with us doing that first, or not important?
Well, I think that the fencing along Ruth Ann's house won't matter to them. It's
Okay.
that little short piece on the west side that may matter.
Let's see.
And the question is really, what we should do with it. But it's falling down anyway. So if we take it down, then what Don said about making sure that the plow doesn't go forward too far is.
Just thinking of people,
Right.
They don't have a visual stop. And if she had some, whatever.
I think you probably do want a fence there ultimately. I mean, I think it's probably a good thing for the house to have a fence in front of it.
Well, it's there, it's in front of it.
Yeah,
This is the side part. The fencing in front of it has the little signs on it that kind of
Mhm, mhm.
show it's the motto of the Historical Society. And it's beautiful. It's fairly new. So it's just this little section on the side, which when I looked at it, I just was like, well, do we really need this? I don't think it's that expensive to replace it, but if it gets hit by the plow all the time, what are we doing?
Are you talking about a piece on the side of the brush house, or are you talking about the piece that runs along the whole length of 9 North Main? So it's the piece, so
It's-
actually you don't need a stop. Yeah, okay.
It's the piece, yeah, not the piece by Ruth Ann's house.
Okay,
It's the little piece on
right.
the side of the brush house. And then there's a brand new, so there's a brand new fencing in front of the brush house. That's fine. The other
Well,
thing I
really-
noticed was that
Maybe you don't need that piece of fencing there at all.
I don't think we do.
Yeah. I think we should ask them, how about just taking that out?
Okay. Okay, great. The other thing I noticed was that the historic sign is, have you ever looked at the house and seen that the beautiful historical sign is kind of buried along a gravel road that I don't know who uses that gravel road anymore, but it's along the side of Peck's.
That goes back into the lot that's behind there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of equipment back there.
Yeah,
But the sign isn't really visible to anybody because it's on a road that nobody uses except maybe the owner of that lot.
so the sign should probably be moved.
I was thinking,
Well, that's up to the Historical Society.
Something that that's not our decision. That's a historical.
Well, all
We
right,
tell them we're not putting the fence up. We tell them when they should move their sign as well. I don't know. Make ourselves very popular.
it just seemed like, well, why is this sign here? Nobody can see it.
No,
All right. Okay. Great. And I think that is it for tonight, unless anybody has anything else.
I just want to say, I thought that the cleanup day was great and went great, and it needs to continue. It's excellent.
The teenagers from the high school, the senior class of 2020,
Awesome.
awesome. They worked hard. They were pleasant. They were smiling.
They had masks on.
They had masks on. They helped other people. I mean, it was really.
Oh, and just so we were unclear about this for the future. If they take a tip, they're supposed to not get credit for their community service. So
Wow.
they're not supposed to take tips because several people wanted to tip them and we didn't know what to tell them. We said, we don't have a position on it, but the position of the program is that if they take the tip, that's fine. Then they have to do some more community service.
They were terrific. The other great thing was that flag on top of the fire tower.
Yeah, it was wonderful, amazing, amazing.
That was such a feat.
Yeah.
It really was great. It was just great.
Will we be meeting at the community center on Thursday?
No, I think we're gonna keep the Zoom.
Okay.
And this is why, there's a couple reasons. We have to have a Zoom meeting in October. So I figured, let's not go to the community center yet. Let's keep doing Zoom for a while. And then when we get some kind of protocol for, dealing with people in a room, cleaning it, what's happening with all that, setting it up. It's harder to film it if we're all socially distanced and facing forward. Nobody's gonna be able to hear us. And I guess the town of Ancrum tried to have a live meeting and found that filming was impossible and everyone complained about not being able to hear.
Couldn't hear and they couldn't tell who was talking because of the masks.
Everybody had masks on.
Yeah.
So I'm disappointed, but I think that it's probably smarter to stay in touch with people on Zoom.
I feel more people actually pay
Why?
attention than when we meet in live, like if you look at some of the things, we've had like actual people like watching the YouTube live and more than I've ever seen at a board meeting. So I don't
Oh,
think,
yeah.
I think it's better for the community involvement. I mean,
And I think we can keep the Zoom going. I don't see, even when we're live again someday, there's no reason not to keep the Zoom going. I can technically Zoom to Alice, let's say,
Mhm.
and then
recording them and then posting them, you could just do the
Same
YouTube
thing.
right there, and boom, it's posted right away.
It works out really well, actually. So, all right. If there's nothing else,
So everybody knows we're voting at the Stissing Center?
Oh. yes, that's everyone should have cards from the mail in the mail.
Mine came, yeah.
Okay, so this was a big deal. I was afraid to announce it until we got the cards, which I got today. The new polling place for November is the Stissing Center. And the Board of Elections came and looked at all of our facilities and determined that town hall's too small for the safety of the poll workers. So They really love the setup at Stissing Center because people can park in back and go in through the back and get on an elevator if they need to and go up. And ramps, there's enough ramps in there and they can socially distance people. So it's great that it's this early, but we need to keep talking about it, which we will.
Is there a rental fee?
No, I don't think so.
I was just curious on who was responsible for it, if there was.
Yeah. I believe they've been discussing this with the Stissing Center people, so.
I mean, it'll make it easier too, because it's right in the center of town.
Exactly. It's a great
Like-
location. It's great.
It would be able to vote.
Outside of town, to vote, you can do it right there in the middle of town, so I think.
Oh, easy. Yeah. It'll be great. There's a lot of parking. Municipal lot is right around the corner and all the parking in back, and I think it'll be neat. Okay. Is
All
there
right,
anything else?
Thank you. See you Thursday.
All right, the meeting is adjourned.
Was that Sarah and Matt?
Sure, yes.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, Judy,
I make a motion.
All in favor of adjourning?
whatever it is.
Aye.
Aye. All right. See you
Okay, bye.
Thursday,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
So long.
Take care.